That's what I'm talking about!
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
What?
Let the hype commence! Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you Spider-Man fans, Avengers fans, and even Batman fans out there to a very exciting video. So even though things may have been a bit doom and gloom recently within the video game industry with a bunch of major AAA titles being delayed and major gaming conventions just flat out being cancelled, there is still a ray of hope to look forward to with certain upcoming gaming conventions that are going to be held digitally, like that of IGN's Summer of Gaming event as well as a special event on Games Radar's website. And luckily enough for us, it looks like that ray of hope may have just gotten a little bit bigger. So just as a small recap, it was confirmed a couple months ago that massive gaming conventions that loads of fans attend like that of E3 and Gamescom have in fact been cancelled this year due to the current worldwide pandemic. But even before that announcement was made, E3 2020 was already shaping up to be a pretty lackluster convention, especially with the major news that Jeff Keighley himself, who if you don't know is one of the main innovators and longtime veterans within the gaming industry, did confirm that he was not going to be attending E3 2020 this year. This is mainly because that Jeff thoroughly believes that the gaming industry can be presented in a new and exciting way compared to what we have standardly seen with that of E3. And now, after months of waiting to see what exactly Jeff's next endeavors are within the gaming industry, it turns out it's a lot more exciting than you may think. Because as of today, Jeff Keighley has officially announced the Summer Game Fest, which is a 4-month-long industry celebration of video games with digital news, in-game events, playable content, and more. And to read the extremely heartfelt statement from Jeff directly, he did state on Twitter, "Since I was a kid, one of my favorite parts of the summer has been seeing all the video game companies band together to hype us up about the future of this incredible medium. This year has been a challenge for all of us. For a while, I thought 2020 might be the first time in 25 years where we didn't have a big Magic industry-wide moment. It really bummed me out to see everything fracture. More than ever, this is a year we need a positive, uplifting center of gravity to bring this global community together. So that's what we're going to build. Today, I'm proud to announce Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long season of news events from all your favorite game platforms and publishers. It's all the news you've been waiting for, but also in-game events, playable content, and demos of select titles, and a bunch of fun surprises. Summer Game Fest isn't a singular show, but a whole season for events. The schedule hub at summergamefest.com will guide you through the next 4 months to make sure you don't miss a thing. And trust me, there are some amazing events coming, and I'm working on some plans for a developer showcase with my friends at I Am 8-Bit and of course Gamescom, opening night live on August 24th as a big season finale. Thanks to all the game companies and developers who are working hard under challenging circumstances to keep us entertained. I hope SGF is a way to show these artists just how much their work helps us get through uncertain and scary times. Keep playing the future. Gaming is about to get really bright this summer. Jeff. So overall, after reading all of this exciting news, I just have a massive amount of respect for Jeff Keighley as a person and especially as a major fan of the gaming industry itself. It's no doubt that this year has truly been a roller coaster ride in more ways than one, but it's really great to see Jeff Keighley try and make things a bit better for all the gamers out there who want to see some exciting news. But what's more important than Jeff's statement and admiration for the gaming industry is exactly seeing how the Summer Game Fest is going to operate as a system as a whole. And essentially, this major event is going to be split up into different phases. And as it turns out, the first phase of developers is pretty darn incredible. The very first lineup of game developers that will occur within the first phase of the Summer Game Fest itself are in fact 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Blizzard, Bungie, CD Projekt Red, Digital Extremes, EA, PlayStation, Private Division, Riot Games, Square Enix, Steam, Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, and Xbox. And given all the companies and publishers listed here, I'm sure the ones that stand out the most to you and for me personally is in fact PlayStation, Square Enix, and Warner Bros. Games. And without a doubt, this obviously refers to the fact that we could potentially see reveals of some really exciting superhero games during this event with that of Spider-Man PS5, Marvel's Avengers, and potentially the Warner Bros. Montreal developed Batman game. There's also a slight chance that we could potentially see Rocksteady appear during this event as well, well, given that they are in fact owned by WB Games, but we'll just have to wait and see on that front to see whether or not those games could be announced. I also did a separate video analyzing the news from the official PlayStation magazine, stating that we will in fact be receiving lots of exciting PS5 game announcements on June 2nd. And just to reiterate things once again, this is going to be the first phase of the Summer Games Fest, but we don't know exactly when the first phase is going to begin and exactly how long it'll last for. But even knowing all of that information, just expect a lot of interesting reveals and announcements to be showcased relatively soon. And alongside of all this unbelievable news, we also have an entire breakdown article from GamesIndustry.com interviewing Jeff Keighley about the Summer Game Fest entirely. And after fully reading through this article, which I will indeed leave a link to in the description below, I have the utmost confidence that we are in fact about to receive some really darn exciting announcements and possibly a reveal of all those games that I mentioned previously. But specifically, there is a lot of interesting things happening with Avengers. But whether or not we actually end up receiving a Spider-Man PS5 or a Batman Arkham announcement is still up in the air for now. But to read from the article directly, Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest is his latest push to rally the industry. From May through August, Keighley's festival wants to serve as a hub for all things gaming, rather than a direct E3 replacement. And to take from the most important parts of this article, the result is Keighley's Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long global festival of everything games running from May through August, fostered by partnerships with over a dozen major publishers and platforms. His goal, he says, was simply to give the industry something to rally around. And it seems to have worked, at least in that he has many of the industry's biggest names on board. And again, these companies revolve around 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Blizzard, Bungie, CD Projekt Red, Digital Extremes, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Sony, Square Enix, Private Division, Riot Games, Steam, and Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment are all confirmed participants, and more are expected to join in the coming weeks. The platform holders, of course, will have their own digital events around which other announcements will coalesce, and those will be the heavy hitters of the season. But, he adds, much of the rest of the Summer Game Fest will be focused around individual games doing their own events and announcements, rather than each publisher or platform dropping everything at once. It seemed clear that game companies were still going to be doing events, but for a while it was unclear if their timelines changed because of the thing that shall not be named and work from home. The demo that they were going to do for E3 is probably the first thing that gets cut out of their production schedule because they are still trying to meet deadlines. So there were a lot of conversations amongst all the platforms and publishers on what they were going to do, and it became clear that it wasn't all gonna line up to 2 or 3 days where everything was going to happen. It's not a press event, but it's still something that people cover. And yes, it's hard to maintain momentum for that long, and I don't want people to think that this is a tightly scheduled event. But it's like a concert venue. There are going to be dark days, and there are going to be big days. The key is that it's going to be curated in a way where when things happen, they're going to matter. So essentially what Jeff is saying is that even though this whole event is going to span across 4 individual months, there may be certain days during this event where some announcements may not be as massive as other ones. But regardless, it truly sounds like Jeff is more passionate than ever to fully deliver a once-in-a-lifetime experience with the Summer Game Fest. And I, for one, just can't wait to see how all this actually plays out. So as we continue to move forward within this article, this is where some pretty interesting statements occur relating to a possible demo for the Avengers project. And yes, you did hear me correctly, I did in fact say a demo for Marvel's Avengers and not that of the beta that Square Enix still have yet to update us on. But to quote the article directly, it states, "Playable content will be here across this summer. But I also don't want people to think, I'm getting a Cyberpunk demo. Now I'm getting a Halo Infinite demo. Not every game is going to deliver that promise, especially this year given the work-from-home situations and development challenges. But conceptually, I think that's where it ultimately goes. And I do think in a few years we're going to totally digitize and virtualize the consumer event space and make this content accessible to everyone for a limited period of time. I have crazy ideas of demos that have virtual queues. You get to play them for 10 minutes or something. I think there are a lot of fun ways to replicate the urgency of a live event. But it is kind of silly silly. The concept of waiting in a 4-hour line to play a game for 10 minutes. I get with new consoles to hold the DualSense, that's special and people will line up for that. But to play a demo of, I don't know, the new Avengers game, come on, let's stream it in some way. So even though that might look like Jeff simply using the Avengers project as an example, I still think that there is a high possibility of us receiving a playable demo of the game during the Summer Game Fest. And if anything, even though a lot of people might be a bit turned off by it, I could see this potential demo simply being that of the A-Day level. For starters, Square Enix have practically shown nothing but A-Day for the Avengers project for almost a solid year now. So if anything, I would think that level is more than polished to actually be put out there for the public to try for themselves. So while I'm still personally hoping for some actual co-op gameplay or some more information about the overall beta to be released for Marvel's Avengers to be revealed during the Summer Game Fest, the least possible thing I could see Square Enix doing for the game is to simply release the A-Day level out for the public to play as a playable demo. And once again, since we do know for a fact that Square Enix is attending both the Summer Game Fest as well as IGN's Summer of Gaming event, fingers crossed that we actually end up receiving some update from Marvel's Avengers relatively soon. But to finalize this article on a very heartfelt note, you don't have to buy thousands of dollars of plane tickets and hotel rooms and badges to go do something. You can just make it available to everyone around the world. That is a guiding principle for all the stuff I've done, and I think it's something that will carry forward. Whether that means Summer Game Fest comes back in 2021 or it becomes a year-round thing, I don't know. I always do things in partnership with publishers. Events like E3 were such a formative part of my life and career. So how do we recreate that magic digitally? Is that inside Fortnite? Is that in Zoom meetings? How do we build that energy? I want to find that idea that will inspire people to want to get into games and be a part of it. And again, I just have to give major props to Jeff Keighley for orchestrating this whole event because it definitely seems like he's pouring his entire heart and soul into this entire project. I am personally beyond pumped to see what exact announcements we could receive from PlayStation, Square Enix, WB Games, and every other developer that is attending this event. And to reiterate once again, this is indeed an ongoing story with new announcements occurring what I assume is going to be daily. So just make sure to stay tuned to Jeff Keighley's Twitter page, the Summer Game Fest Twitter page, and even my Twitter page for consistent updates. To be quite honest with all of you, it's been a pretty terrible year so far, so seeing Jeff actually try to bring some light to people's lives is just a very exciting thing to see. And with all of that massive news stated, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What are all your thoughts on Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, and what game do you want to see actually be announced out of everything else during this event? For me personally, even though I am very interested to learning more about Marvel's Avengers, and it would be exciting to see a possible Batman game be revealed, you already know that I would no doubt choose a Spider-Man PS5 announcement over everything else. But whether or not that actually ends up happening is something we'll just have to cross our fingers for. But until the next news update, everyone, thank you all for watching, true believers, and peace out.